autism destroys families. More importantly, it destroys our greatest resource, which are our children. These are children who should not be suffering like this. These are kids who, many of them were fully functional and regressed because of some environmental exposure into autism when they're 2 years old. And these are kids who will never pay taxes. They'll never hold a job. They'll never play baseball. They'll never write a poem. They'll never go out on a date. Many of them will never use a toilet unassisted. And we have to recognize we are doing this to our children.
I recorded an episode about this a while ago, and there was no script, no direction. I didn't even have an outline. And I ended up losing the whole thing by accident, so I guess I'm trying again. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. was recently made Secretary of Health and Human Services, a move that has caused a fair amount of controversy. One of his most famous controversies is his claims about the link between vaccines and autism, how the vaccines we give children can cause them to have autism. Before I even finished this outline, RFK Jr. did a speech about the issue of autism and the supposed epidemic that we're dealing with when it comes to autism in this country. How should we, as people on the autism spectrum, feel about this? How should we feel about even the possibility that there is a link between the vaccines that we give children and autism? How should we feel about the things that RFK Jr. is saying about how autism impacts families, or the role that autism has in the lives of children and eventually adults? I can't speak for everyone. It's impossible for me to. I am only one person on the autism spectrum, and there are many, many more out there on different places of the spectrum with different abilities and different inabilities, if that is even a word. Let's be outrageous here and say for a minute that vaccines do cause autism in children. In the case of extremes, there can be cause for anger, and may even be justified. But for so many people on the spectrum, I don't think it even matters to most autistic people. I have yet to see one autistic person, either in real life or on the internet, say, yes, let's find out if there is truly a link between vaccines and autism, or if the cause of autism is some sort of environmental factor, like RFK Jr. claims. The fact that there are a lot of people out there, not autistic people, already making the claim that autism is caused by vaccines says a lot about them. These people talk about autism as if it's something to be vilified, which places us spectrumites, the word that I use to describe autistic people on this channel, in a very uncomfortable position. These people on social media don't have an intimate understanding of what all autism is, only that it means some people are wired differently, and it shines a spotlight only on the negative things about autism, not the positive things. The idea that there is a potential link between vaccines and autism seems to be something that only people not on the autism spectrum care about, not autistic people themselves. Why is that? If it was true that vaccines do cause autism, it really doesn't even matter to everyone who's on the spectrum. Their lives won't change. There's no known cure, and most people on the spectrum aren't looking for or desiring a cure anyway. This is something that a lot of people on the autism spectrum don't seem to understand. While we on the spectrum don't want to define ourselves based on our place on the autism spectrum, the fact that we have it is still very ingrained in how we think, feel, and experience the world around us. To lose all of that in one moment if we were given some cure would be to lose those aspects about us that are unique. Some of you might say that I'm ignoring the cases of severe autism in children, the ones who can't talk, the ones who can't do most things without assistance, and the ones who are going to miss out on so many aspects of life that so many people take for granted. And I'm going to say this now. I hear you, and I see you, and I'm not ignoring the fact that those kinds of young people are out there. But there are millions of others on other places on the autism spectrum who can listen to something like RFK Jr. said the other day and feel disturbed by this. And I think they have every right to be. If RFK Jr. only meant children with cases of severe autism, he would not have generalized autism by saying that autism destroys families, which we know is not true. Autism is not just involuntary movements, being inappropriately loud in public, or not looking you in the eye. It's a state of being. It is a state of being in both the physical and the mental sense. It doesn't inform the person's worldview completely, but it is absolutely an assistant in that. The desire by others to connect the cause of autism to some sinister plot behind Big Pharma, an institution I'm not a fan of either, by the way, or some other theory related to outside forces disregards what actual autistic people think or feel. While there are some people out there who are genuinely interested in finding out the truth to prevent cases of severe autism in children in the future, there are a lot of other people out there who don't care as much about the well-being of people on the autism spectrum or future people on the autism spectrum as much as they care about feeling vindicated in their beliefs about the link between autism and vaccines. And it baffles me how much people have the tendency to make things like this about themselves. Should we find out about the environmental factors, if any, that are connected with the cause of children having autism at such a young age, that may help prevent more cases in the future, but something else will also happen, and it's something that we need to keep in mind as people pursue this. Autistic people will still be autistic. A portion of people will feel vindicated. They'll feel emboldened to start making other claims that might genuinely be untrue this time, and how the world views people on the autism spectrum will be different, and not for the better. People might feel sympathy for us, because autism was quote-unquote injected into us, and we don't need that, nor do we want it. The very last thing that I want to be seen as in this world is a victim. Because I'm not. And so many people on the autism spectrum out there aren't either, and don't want to be considered as victims. I know it sounds like I'm saying, let's not do anything, and that's not the case. These are just my thoughts on what I believe could happen should causes be found. We shouldn't be surprised if these things happen, and I want us to be prepared not to be. The more time has passed, the more we've been able to understand autism. Autism itself has become such a big part of our culture. More people know about it now than ever before. And I guess the question we need to ask ourselves is, are we ready to shoulder the responsibility of the perspective on autism changing so drastically? How will this impact people already on the autism spectrum? How will this impact couples who want to have children? I think I'll leave you guys with that. You may disagree with me about my thoughts on this, and that's perfectly fine. I know this one was a little bit on the negative side, but I wanted to get these thoughts out there. Again, you may disagree with me. That's perfectly fine. And if you are a parent that has a child with a more severe autism case, please don't hesitate to share that story in the comments section below. I want to hear it. I want to learn more. As someone who's more on the high-functioning side of the spectrum, I want to understand the stories of people who are not as lucky. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this, and you want to see more videos like this. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.